All right, everybody, welcome to the third and final part of this 3-episode set of our review of X-Men 97. I am your host, Dom of X, with my co-host Drew Morgan on Two California Filipinos, and we talked about a lot of emotional and powerful stuff in the last 3 episodes, didn't we?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's both of those things. There's a lot of emotion, lots of huge payoffs between characters and like dramatic moments, but not in like the actiony kind of way. I mean, it was that, but also in more emotional ways. And this is just the culmination of everything that this season has led up to, and it's been fantastic because because of that. So we cover it all.
We do cover it all. We talk about some major points, but more importantly, the relationships between characters and what we think is going to happen in the later parts of the season. You don't want to miss out on that at all. We had a lot of fun exploring that as well, and also be sure to stay tuned for a couple of days later because we are going to review Deadpool and Wolverine, Deadpool 3 live on Thursday night, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and talk about all of what we loved about the last 3 episodes of X-Men 97.
I'm ready.
All right, so yes, again, today we are talking about the last 3 episodes of X-Men 97, and oh boy, I can't name a Marvel TV show or anything of the sort where I actually like enjoyed the ending in great retrospect, and also like I legitimately wanna see more of it. Like perfect 3-episode ending, honestly, if I had to call it.
Yeah, I'm glad they did 3 episodes too, because like you really get to see the storylines develop and all the different, I guess, plots that are like, because there's all these different moving parts where there's this conflict and that conflict, and how are all these things going to interact with each other? And it's played out really well in 3 episodes. A lot of shows do the 2-episode thing now, or sometimes like they leave a cliffhanger on the end of the season, and then you have to wait until like the next season to even figure out how that story concludes, which there is sort of a cliffhanger at the end, but the point is that the main conflict of the 3 episodes is solved, right? And I would say main conflicts, because there are multiple of them, but yeah, it's so good, man. I can't believe I took so long to watch it. I know it's only been out for a few months, but I feel like I should have watched it as it was airing, because as soon as I finished the last episode, I was like, man, is season 2 confirmed yet? Like season 2 like I was online Googling stuff.
No, for sure. Like I think like the story with me is that I had classes, like finals was ramping up and I was about to graduate, so I'm like, I really can't afford any of my grades to dip, or else I won't get a diploma in the mail or be able to attend the graduation. Like that was my biggest fear. But nonetheless, like all of my friends were talking about it. I'm like sad because I can't watch this right now, but I want to. Like I actually legitimately like feel like I need to go actually out and watch it. So I never got to the final episodes, but I binged them all twice because I love the ending that much. And it's insane how like when you can feel like the love and craft being put and developed into a like anything of the sort, whether it's a game, film, TV show, like it all shows out, and it's clear that everyone put their heart and soul into the finale, which is which is Operation Zero Tolerance, which is freaking amazing. As if I had anything else to say about the quality.
Oh yeah, I mean the plot itself, because I haven't read the comics, of course. I am getting it. Okay, so I will say that I am getting more into comics. So I think the X-Men comics are probably going to be one of the first ones that I get into like really deeply, like I don't know, totally, because there's so many issues of it. One of the YouTubers I followed for a long time, Should we do shout outs on this? I don't even know.
Go
Not shout
ahead.
outs, but so anyway, his name's Cosmonaut, the Cosmonaut Variety Hour or whatever, but he does a lot of like movie reviews and he loves superheroes. And recently he posted a video of how to get into X-Men, basically. And I haven't watched it yet, but I am going to watch it after seeing X-Men 97 because the whole series is so good. Like you already said, you can tell the people who made this from the story, from the animation to the voice actors, like everyone involved, like music, all that stuff. Like they really care about making a good story, a complete story, and they really want like something that like this is, I don't know, man, like X-Men 97. It, by the way, I believe it got nominated for an Emmy, like best animated TV show. So congrats to them. Good timing for us, I guess. But yeah, like there's a lot of good animated shows that it ran nominated, but you know, X-Men 97 definitely really good, and deservingly so. Like it deserves the Emmy nomination. It's not every day I'm like, oh yeah, like that deserves an Emmy or a Grammy or an Oscar nomination, all that stuff, especially really popular media. But X-Men 97 it is really popular, of course, because, you know, nostalgia factor, all that good stuff, really powerful animated show. But then also it's so well executed at every single level that of course it would be nominated. And if it won, it deserved to win. If it doesn't, then I'm sure the other show deserved to win too. But I wouldn't be surprised if X-Men 97 did win. I haven't watched all the shows that were nominated. I've only seen 2 of them, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat here, and part of it to do with me not getting into the shows either is just that like I have not as much time as I would like to have, especially when I feel like I'm reading 24/7. Like it sort of kills a lot of the time. But if you want to talk about a show that you put on the pedestal of, yeah, this is the best that came out this year, like I'd put this up there. Just in the case of, well, like we talked about for the last 2 episodes. They made us care about the X-Men again. Like it had been such a long time before we got a fully like developed and realized X-Men animated anything. Like since Wolverine and X-Men, what was that, like 15 years ago?
I have no idea.
So you know, it's been a while. It's been a while since one of these TV shows came out. But I appreciate that, you know, all the effort and work put into it. But also, yeah, just for the fact that like it's clear like these guys have done their homework and made these characters great and all that. But also in the terms of, you want to talk about an ending that will keep you on the edge of your seat throughout with a lot of emotional moments. One moment that made me cry in particular, which I'll get to. I mean, like you want to put all of that in a basket like that. This is what the last 3 episodes are.
Yeah, I didn't say this for all the other episodes, but there are very emotional moments and moments that, especially throughout the entire show, not just the finale, and the finale especially so, but throughout the entire show and of course the finale, there are moments that like I was just like, wow, this is really emotional. And it's funny though, because again, like they're cartoons, they're animated, you know, but still the characters feel developed and real. Like they have motives and things they care about, and there's like consequences. So because of all those things, like it feels more real than, I mean, even some of the live action movies. And I'm glad that X-Men 97 got made, because I don't know the next time we would be able to have a moment like that with superheroes. But like, I hope, again, I mean, we talked about this last week, but I really hope that this style of animation and story adaptation continues on and moves forward. And I hope like there's other parts that they can adapt, right? Like in the 90s, we had, of course, X-Men animated series. There was the Spider-Man show. I think it was the Amazing Spider-Man. I forget the name of it, but I hope more stuff happens like that, because, man, I mean, we're gonna, you know, we'll get into like characters and stuff, but man, it's so good. And of course it's good because they have storylines that everyone loves from the comics that they can adopt, right? Like, sure, they might put a twist on it here and there. You would know if they're putting twists on certain things. I'm sure they are, right? I'm sure it's not one for one, still for still. But at the same time, like, you have the sort of grand layout that you can follow. And, you know, like these are very fantastic stories that it's like, man, why, like people want to see that on screen. They want to see this cool stuff. Just, you know, don't make the whole thing fan service, but like don't reinvent the wheel.
And they didn't need to. Like, they kept it pretty much almost like plain and simple and straight to the point, but with all of the nuances that every single show needs and these characters needed, with a bit of that, like, really, like, well done, interjected politics and the atmosphere surrounding it, right? With considering you've got mutants against mutants, mutants against humans, and the allegory shifts between there, like someone on a regular basis or regular level who doesn't consume comics or anything else of that style will be able to feel and will be able to sympathize with in terms of the characters like the X-Men that we love, and even people who are trying to shift towards a better slate like Magneto. It's all in there, especially like you get to see all that clash in the last 3 episodes with Bastion coming ahead and being sort of the face of yeah, we are like, there's like no humans involved, we just need to get to that next level. And then of course the X-Men, who are trying to figure out what the difference is between both of those, and Charles Xavier getting back into the fold as if things needed to be messier, but he was also amazing in there. So it's a well done, well structured finale that, yes, keeps pulling punches but never feels out of line or any of the sort. Like, everything feels natural, organic, it's well paced, and I'm very happy for it.
Yeah, everything makes sense too. Like, I feel like stuff didn't really come out of nowhere. Like, these things they had either hinted at in earlier episodes or built up to, right? Like Storm coming back, being with the X-Men is really cool. Man, I recognize this in the 3 episodes here, but when Storm is about to use her powers, does she have like a theme song that they do? Because it seems like they have a theme song that is just like so epic, and I only remember it was Storm. Like, I remember it in like the first episode when they're fighting Sentinels, and then I remember it when she gets her powers back, and then I remembered it in the finale. And every single time it like gives me goosebumps and makes me emotional, and I'm just like, dude, I need to go back and rewatch it, like the whole series, because I want to see if that music or instrumental comes up more. But I think it's like a Storm theme song, which is hella cool. Because whenever you have a character theme song that like hits really well, like it sticks, you know, and people like, they hum it, you know, they come back to the show because they're like, man, I just want to, hear that theme song,
right?
Even if,
I mean, that's what you go on YouTube for, right? It's like, if a jingle sticks, like, it will stand the test of time. Like, that's why we have the opening theme like stay the same, because why ruin a perfect thing? You know, you don't need to add any more guitars or riffs or any certain things to it. But you know what I actually like about each episode is that for the theme, with the theme song playing and all the different characters who decide to pop up, all of the different introductions are different, and we get to see like which characters are being played to, or being played, or being used in certain episodes with each brand new like theme and introduction, which I thought was really cool. It's not just the same like copied pasted thing over. It's like, oh, like they made new animations for each of these and new introductions and all that sort of stuff. It's actually super fun to see, because I thought, like, man, like they actually put some care into it instead of just reusing the same thing over and over again.
That's cool. I didn't even notice that, honestly. Now I really want to go back and rewatch the whole thing, like, because most of the time I'm just like, you know, just like air guitaring. Dude, that song should be on Rock Band. If it's not on Rock Band or Guitar Hero, then that's a crime against humanity.
It is.
I know on PC someone probably like made it, and you can just like, if you have Rock Band or Guitar Hero on your PC, you can probably just mod the song into it. But man, that song should be like, that's one of the songs that should absolutely be in it. God, that'd be sick.
That would be. Just being able to, like, in your living room, blast out to the thing. You're like, wait, what is that ruckus going on?
I know. Oh, someone's watching X-Men. It's like, no, I'm playing
X-Men. No, that would be super cool. That'd be super fun. But yeah, like, I feel like you can't sort of leave or not talk about the show in retrospect without talking about, like, we do it, because they've done the whole Xavier and Magneto thing a billion times over. We know that they are sort of the two central characters that the X-Men sort of pivot on and against, because their worldviews, even though they want the same thing, they plan to achieve it in different ways. And one of the show's climaxes does lead up to Xavier and Magneto sort of coming and clashing alongside of, this is what we need to do in order to win against or for humanity. And the emotional payoff between the two is absolutely phenomenal. I thought there wasn't any there weren't any breaks there. Like, they went all out for it, where it was just a mind game between the two, and I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's at the end of the 9th episode, right, of of part 2 of the 3-parter, do they defeat Bastion at the beginning of episode 3 or the end of episode 2? I forget, but it was early on, and I remember there being more time, like at least 15-20 more minutes in the 3rd episode. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I wonder what's gonna happen here. And I was like, oh, I see where this is going. And of course, like, God, like, firing the missiles was so dumb. It's like, what did you think was gonna happen, dude? Like, you're just gonna fire missiles at the thing because, I don't know, that's your answer to everything. But obviously it is a realistic thing that would happen. It's like, this thing scares us, let's shoot it. but yeah, so anyways, very interesting. I did like how they resolved the conflicts, like, you know, the Bastion story, and actually no, because when they don't like defeat Bastion, he gets like sucked into the gravity black hole type thing that kind of goes in. Like, we don't really know that he's dead, right? So maybe he comes back, maybe not, I have no idea. But then, yeah, I liked the Xavier and Magneto inside of Magneto's mind, and like Magneto having to like rediscover who he is inside that moment. I thought that was really cool. It's really like the Xavier and Magneto, you know, being such old friends but having such huge conflicts is very well executed. And man, I don't know, I thought it's just so cool. It's so cool seeing how powerful Charles Xavier is, but then also seeing how powerful Magneto is, like being able to just like eliminate Earth's electromagnetic sphere or whatever the hell he did. Like, that was
like the Earth just doesn't have a magnet, and which will completely affect weather patterns and everything else of the sort that you could think of.
Yeah, all the electricity went out, and people are like, oh, like the world's gonna end. And I'm like, why is the world gonna end? I'm like, oh, like they don't have like any protection against the sun anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so that was, I don't know, it's really cool when you get to see how powerful some of the characters are. But then like the thing that brings Magneto down isn't like a crazy punch or brute force or something like that. It's, you know, one of his best friends, oldest friend. It's his oldest friend, best friend, whatever, like making him, you know, mind warping or, you know, telepathy, kind of like invading his mind, and then reminding him like kind of who he is. But yeah, and I think the part I really like too is I completely understand why Magneto feels like he has to do this, because like his entire, like, you know, race or whatever you want to call it of people are about to be genocided, and there's nothing anyone can do except for him. So like, of course, like you back someone that strong into a corner, like they're gonna do what they have to get out, you know. And I don't know. I just like it just goes back to like, I understand, like, this is why Magneto's such a cool character, because he didn't want to do that. Like, he doesn't want to kill everyone or end the world or something, but it's like, if it's him and his people versus like people that are trying to, you know, persecute him and his people, especially as a Holocaust survivor, I totally understand why he would take such drastic actions. And then obviously, ultimately, he's kind of like, Xavier stops him from doing that, and then he's the one who saves the planet too. So I don't know, really cool. Really cool moments between both of them. For a moment, I was like, is this where like Onslaught's gonna come out? Because I have read about Onslaught, and like, maybe you could.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
explain this
That's
better
what
to
I
me.
was gonna talk to you about. Like sort of like the ending. It's like, oh, we're headed towards that part. And Onslaught is, it made a lot of people quit X-Men.
Really?
Yeah. That's how
Wow,
bad the
okay.
comic was.
Oh, it's that bad. Okay, so I knew Onslaught was like super powerful because it's like the
Yeah,
merge.
it's the merge between those two. It's just that the way they went about it, and also it being like sort of like the 90s bad stuff culminating into like this terrible idea. Yeah, the lead up to it, the actual event, and then the aftermath of it are not great.
Oh man.
Which I'm actually like curious to see how they do, because if they do head towards that point, I remember talking about this with a friend of mine, because he was like, man, I'm kind of apprehensive for season 2 because of what they could do with like Charles and all that stuff, and I went, oh wait, they might adapt Onslaught. I'm scared.
Yeah.
But we'll see, right? Like they because Operation Zero Tolerance isn't exactly a it's not like heralded by a lot of people as to be like one of the best, but they did a really good job adapting it and making it fit in the development theme. So if the writers room, which is apparently going to be different for the next couple of seasons, which is kind of concerning, but you know, that is what it is.
That's how it always is, man.
It always is, yeah.
Why? Why do they do that? Why do they be like, oh, hey, these writers wrote a really good season 1. You know, it'd be great if we slashed the budget and then got different writers. It's like, anyways, sorry. I didn't know that was the
I
case.
feel you there, because yeah, like I would love to see how they could like adapt like mainline story. You got the X-Men versus Onslaught. Like, okay, cool. Like, I don't mind mindless action. Sometimes mindless action is fun. It's not the best, it's not the worst, but it's fun. But yeah, we'll have to see what they do there, because that is, yeah. And I told them like, yeah, they're gonna adapt X-Men Onslaught, and we're gonna all suffer for it. But it's like, but it's still doing stuff like that where we at least have the season to like have that cool payoff. And even that, like the fight on Asteroid M with Magneto against the X-Men, I thought was amazing. And I thought, oh wow, Logan killed the guy. And he
Dude.
just stabbed the guy in the. I was like, oh, well, that's another death of the beloved character. And he's just like, yeah, typically like he says something cool after like he disposes of Logan. After Logan has because Logan thought he had the cool one-liner. Magneto was just like, nah, man, this isn't your show.
Yeah. Magneto says something like, finally, this bitter quarrel comes to an end or something. Because like, obviously Magneto and Wolverine do not get along, but this was the moment, because like it makes sense too, because Wolverine's skeleton is like metal inside, and
He ripped all the adamantium out.
Dude.
I thought that was so cool.
I was like, holy crap, dude, that is like, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe. I mean, for one, there was a lot of blood, right? Already when Wolverine stabbed through his back like that, and probably could have ripped him in half if he didn't have to say the one-liner. If Wolverine was like really wanted to kill him and not like savor
he
the
would
kill,
have. He would have.
oh, just ripped him in half. You know what I mean? However, Wolverine's like freaking, gloating or whatever caused him to lose his adamantium skeleton, and I was like, dude, this is like graphic. I mean, it didn't show everything, but like
They nearly went there.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't believe that they showed as much as they did, like, because it's crazy, man. Like it's like a scary thought too. Like imagine like, I don't know, like your bone, like your skeleton being like I don't know, like your bone marrow basically being stripped out of your skeleton while you're alive. That sounds like donating bone marrow is one of the most painful things people can do, and so yeah, I don't know. It's obviously, it seems like Logan's gonna recover.
Because
But yeah,
he does. He has super healing. He has all of these different character strengths that will be able to let him continue life on, because he has to be the old grunt that's everywhere and makes money and all that stuff. So yeah, he'll be there in subsequent seasons. It's just I legitimately thought like that was gonna be the end for Magneto. We're gonna get like a completely different direction, which would have been cool, but we did it. Like, I think if you are a Magneto fan, which a lot of people are, like, you got an amazing season out of Eric Lenscher. Like, this was amazing. To see him perform in the capacities that he did, and to be written sort of as this like pseudo protagonist in that sense. So kudos to the writers, because you guys gave a lot more love to Magneto than to Gambit.
True. Yeah, true. Poor Gambit.
I feel bad for, but I think because we do get the whole, like, those entire fights. We get the one of the reveals at the end too, since I guess we're sort of delving into that, is the we get to see En Sabah at the end, who is Apocalypse, the big,
that's who
that is.
Oh, I was wondering. I was like, because I'm watching it. I'm like, I'm supposed to know that name, but I don't know that name. Okay, he's like he is the first mutant, right, or something like that, and also like one of the big bads.
He is one of the fiercest foes that the X-Men have had to face, and he is at the end of the season. And he will probably have a big role to play in season 2 with the way that they tease it. And one of the bigger fan theories, and probably what's going to happen, is that to resurrect Remy LeBeau, to resurrect Gambit, they're going to make him a Horseman of the Apocalypse, which I think actually sounds pretty cool now that I think about it.
Isn't there a story where he is one of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse?
Yeah, somewhere in the 90s.
Because I think I read that in on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it makes, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Are the Horsemen of the Apocalypse kind of like Galactus's heralds? Like, they just get crazy power boosts and stuff like that?
Yeah, they're like, it's famine, war, death, and pestilence. They're super powerful, and they can wreck a whole lot of stuff.
I wonder which one Gambit would be. He could be death. He makes a bunch of stuff explode.
It does, yeah.
I don't know.
Because they could obviously adapt a whole different, like, they could make him a completely different thing than he was in the source material. But that's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I actually can't wait to see what other who else will be joining the Apocalypse. Because the way that they have it now is that Apocalypse's horsemen are his kids. But this is obviously not gonna be that. This is gonna be like actual characters, or that we think of anyways. So it's gonna be cool to see Remy in a very different light, and also if he ever gets reverted, and how that reversion is gonna happen.
Oh, it'll have to. So Rogue will do something. You know what I mean? Like, it'll.
I can touch you now. Rogue. I can touch you now, Remy. Let's go.
Yeah. Basically, the only time she'll get to like feel him is gonna be when, you know, she has to like neutralize him in some way, which again would be another powerful moment, you know, kind of like one of those moments where we get to see Cyclops' eyes, you know.
Oh, dude,
like, that's really cool, dude.
I'm gonna be a complete fanboy here, but dude, I love the whole resolution with Scott and Jean in the last 3 episodes, just sort of overcoming the entire thing of Scott somewhat cheating on Jean psychically with Madeline, and also him getting to grow not only as a team leader but also as a father. The moment that I cried in the season, the only time that I did cry, but it was like I actually felt like there were tears straining, was the whole entire conversation that he and Jean have with their son, you know, before they might be dead. You know, as the asteroid's headed down, and you know, Scott is just like, you know, your mother told me that you got my eyes, and you know, Nate's like, I never got to see them, and all this stuff, and Jean, and she's done this multiple times, like, she actually has the power to hold back the optic blasts that Scott has, you know, and Scott's all like, you know, this is what I look like, you know. They have a heartfelt moment, then he talks about being a dad, and you know, all of that stuff, and you know, when he says like, I love you, son, that's when I felt like a tear. That's when I felt tears. I'm getting teary-eyed right now, like, thinking about it, but that's when I just started to like, my heart like exploding into a million pieces, but also like being fractured and shattered, because I'm a sucker for family moments. And I kudos to them for an amazing character arc between both Scott and Jean individually, as a married couple, and also as parents of the son. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah, I love Cable too. Like I like so okay, I remember when Deadpool 2 came out, like everyone was like, "Oh, Cable's going to be in it." And I was like, "What's the hype, dude?" Like I don't even understand it. But like seeing him now, cuz again, I haven't read any of the comics of X-Men, but now seeing him in X-Men 97, which is obviously, I assume, pretty faithful to like origin stories, some plot lines and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, Cable is a really cool character. And what makes it him complete for me in this like series is, God, his voice is so sick. His voice actor is like, dude, this is cool. I actually thought it might have been Josh Brolin for a second. I thought it was. And I was like, oh, that's not Josh Brolin? Did they just like do that intentionally? Like, did they make
the shades of it are
like...
there?
Yeah, dude. Like, obviously, but it fits because like that is what someone who looks like Cable would probably sound like. And I do like that. Like, it is pretty realistic for Cable to be bitter towards his parents. You know, he's grown his entire life without his parents. So I totally get it, and I understand Scott. I didn't know that Scott was he like an orphan or something before Professor X showed up.
He and his brothers got dropped out of an airplane in Alaska.
Wow. Okay, so that's
yeah. And there's a whole thing too. Like, the original show sort of delves into this as well. But his dad eventually ends up being a space pirate and leads a team called the Starjammers, where it's like him and a bunch of other crazy aliens, and you know, they do all that stuff. And then his mom eventually ends up being taken by the Shi'ar. She gets forced, she gets that Said and gets a child who eventually ends up becoming the whole Summers family tree is crazy. Like, it is actually insane.
Everything you just said sounds insane. Like, nothing was normal. Like,
nothing is ever normal to that kid. Like, this guy shoots optic beams out from his eyes.
Yeah, like other X-Men, they have like normal parents. But like Scott, I was like, what's his origin story? Oh,
yeah, he's got his regular mom and dad, and then he's got Xavier as sort of this like father figure to him, and a whole bunch of other characters that he either grows up with or looks up to. You know what? I get it. I understand like the pain that like he's going through because of all of everything that he's had to endure, and on top of that, some people have actually theorized, including me, that he has some sort of mental disability. That it just hasn't.
Oh, Scott does?
Yeah, Scott. Yeah.
Oh,
he's not he's not entirely like neurodivergent.
Oh, what? I mean, I didn't even think about that. But like, is it like well, I mean, what do you? I mean, I'd love to talk about that. Maybe not right now, but maybe later, because that's really, I do love exploring like how, especially how X-Men represents just so many different like peoples, you know what I mean? And I think X-Men, like that's kind of how it started, you know? It's kind of one of the points of X-Men, right? Is like showing how different people exist, and they've stayed true to that despite what like some online, you know, Twitter posts will tell you about this being new for them. But that's really cool. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, a lot of like some people have theorized that Scott has Asperger's, and
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know, but yeah, no, that's cool. I'd like to I'd like to read into that, you know. But that's really cool. I liked one of the moments where because Scott says something like, I want to do like I regret doing the same thing that my dad never did. And like it wasn't abandoning his child, because obviously Scott feels abandoned by his real dad, and that's talked about multiple times in the season. But what it was is like, I never said goodbye. Like he just sent him off. Like he didn't leave like a letter or anything, you know. And I totally understand how he would think that he should do that after the fact, right? Because when it happened, he was like, oh, I just need to do this to save my son as fast as possible. But like he easily could have written a letter or like literally anything, you know. And so I thought that was like a really powerful moment. I really liked it. I really liked like the self-reflection, because he felt like he abandoned his son, but it was the only thing he could do to keep his son alive. Yeah. So it makes sense that you would do that, right? But then you could still have regrets going on, because sure, he could have handled it a little bit better. But I think that's the point, though, is like people don't always handle things in the best way. Like people are flawed, they make mistakes. Even if they do the right thing, they might not do it to the fullest extent or something. And I really like that. I really like that about this whole story. And I like that Cable kind of finds peace too, because, you know, again, he does feel abandoned, but he gets to really meet his, well, not so much Madeline Pryor, but he understands that Madeline Pryor is just like a carbon copy of Jean Grey. And so being around Jean Grey is the same. It's basically the same thing as being around, you know, his actual, like his like actual mom. And like genetically it would test that Jean, I assume, right? I'm not a biologist, but I assume genetically, if you tested Jean Grey and Cable's DNA, they would be like, oh yeah, this is his mom. You know, because they're clones. They're not twins, they're clones. And so I think that I don't know, I think that was really cool. The whole like family arc that they have, I thought it was really cool.
And it sort of like gets to another cool climax where Cable's like being grounded to a pulp and Jean's like tossed into the river, like after, you know, like because Jean has that one line in episode 9 where she reconnects with Scott, because they have the cool psychic link, that whole entire thing of like, oh, it's only shared by between two people, where they can telepathically can talk to each other, connect with each other at any point in time. Jean says, Scott, I love you, as sort of like this whole thing of like, you know, forgiveness and being able to push everything that was in the past and, you know, going forward. Also, like, again, me being teary-eyed, I was like, man, my shipping heart's like dying into a billion pieces, and then Jean gets tossed into the river, and then Nate gets like his arm cut off, you know, in the battle that's, you know, going along with Mr. Sinister, and then Jean comes out of the water and she reclaims the Phoenix Force. I was like, okay, that is cool. And I love that it's sort of the whole, like, that whole entire climax of, oh, like, this is, like, of all the stuff that's happened to the Summers Grey clan family in the last 10 episodes, this is what it's led to in acknowledgement of, yeah, Jean Grey is one of the most powerful characters in Marvel, and, yeah, no one can match her, like, one-on-one in that twin strength, so.
Yeah, I had a feeling like she didn't die, you know, when that happened. Like, it was an emotional moment, and I did like it, but I had a feeling. And I got, like, goosebumps when she was, like, rising, you know what I mean, as a phoenix does. I got like goosebumps. I was like, oh man, like this is about to be it right here. And of course, like Bastion's only thing he can do kind of just like run. I mean, you know what I mean, like, yeah, he can't,
there's nothing you can do with that, but you're like, it's a cosmic force against,
yeah. It's like a law of the universe type thing. And yeah, that was really, so I guess, like, because they talk about, you know, especially her and Storm will talk about the Phoenix, I would assume to be like a saga or plot, like I imagine in the original X-Men animated series. Is she supposed to be able to sometimes draw upon the Phoenix Force? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's why she's been able to, at least for all these years, like, oh, like, I have the Phoenix Force. This is what like is just running along in her body, has been since she's sort of come back from the dead. So
I mean, that's really cool. Man, this makes me, like, talking about this stuff makes me wish that there were more. So for one, it makes me like know for sure I'm going to read more comics. Like, I definitely want to read X-Men. Talking about this too makes me want to read, for some reason, it makes me want to read Teen Titans.
Yeah, because they're super similar in that retrospect. Like the whole soap opera element of the entire team. I mean, New Teen Titans in the 80s was sort of DC's weird and odd answer to the X-Men. Like, they were popular in that same format and fashion, with like old pre-existing characters like Dick Grayson growing, and then you have a bunch of new guys like Starfire, Cyborg, and like those guys like coming into the fold as well. So
yeah, so anyways, I'm hyped. Like, it's like inspired me to read more of this stuff. But yeah, man, Jean Grey was sick. Seeing Storm, like it's weird that I liked Storm so much in this series, because like she's not like spotlighted, right? Like, obviously, like Magneto, I mean, she has her moments, but like Magneto, Professor X, the Summers family dynamic, like these are like sort of what I would say like main thing. And, you know, Sunspot and Jubilee, kind of their things are more, I don't know, like Storm's not, she's not like she's not sidecast or something like that, but man, like she stands out to me just because like I feel like every moment she's on screen is like super cool, man. Oh, that's like the best way to describe it as someone who, you know, doesn't really read a lot of comics. I'm just like, God, it's so cool.
Like you're just astounded by the, well, like, obviously like her being like sort of like this mythological figure feeling of there's something that's bound to happen even if she's affected by one or two setbacks or strains of just her being tugged back from where she was. I love the writing for her, like for throughout the whole season, and her getting to know more about herself and sort of regaining her ability, and also the switch from like Mohawk Storm to Classic Storm. I thought it was super cool, and she gets a lot of amazing moments between her and a lot of the rest of some of the cast anyways. And I'd like to see more of that too, because I think a well-written Storm, I don't know if she can, because most of like the comics that she's been where she's been able to like, you know, lead a team or whatever, it's her like as like a de facto leader pushing it instead of like her being solo, which is probably why I think I liked her in the series, because she always has someone to play off against. But I love the retrospect for her. I love that she never like completely, I guess, gave up on herself, even in the midst of all, because, you know, even when she did, she was able to, like, through Forge and the weird dreams, nightmares that she's had, was able to spring out of that into something more positive.
Yeah, because I never knew before watching X-Men 97 how close like Storm and Jean were, and obviously like they're
best
sisters. Yeah, and I thought, I don't know, so obviously I teach communication classes, and next time I get to teach interpersonal communication, I'm definitely going to, because like I like the idea of like, oh, watch this show or watch a movie or something and talk about the interpersonal relationships, right? Like how do they communicate and how does that affect the relationships? And X-Men 97 would be like an excellent suggestion for, you know, you have of course Jean and Storm, or Aurora. Is it Aurora? Aurora, yeah. Like you have those two. You have Jean and Scott and Cable. You have Magneto and Professor X. You have Magneto and Rogue. You have Rogue and Gambit. You know what I mean? Like these are all individual relationships that affect the group dynamic of the X-Men, and I think that's what makes it so good and so realistic, like so believable. You know, not realistic because obviously there's people with like crazy powers and stuff, but like everything is believable. Nothing's like, oh, there's you know, blah blah blah, like oh, this random thing happened and this character responded this way, even though that makes zero sense. Looking at you, season 4 of The Boys. But yeah, so anyways, I haven't seen the finale for that yet. I should probably watch that.
I should probably watch it, yeah. But no, like, well, hey, if you did that, I think for the classes, I think the students would love you as a teacher and would recommend more. Like, hey, my professor used like fun material for examples instead of like the old classic textbook or something, you know.
Yeah.
Stand out. But also, like, I mean, that's what the show is, and again, that's why I love X-Men. It's like you get to see how each of these characters respond, where they're placed in not only placed in a situation where it's super hard to figure out like what's going on, but also who they're with, because who they're with completely determines how they're going to get out of that situation. And also you get to see how they bounce off of each other and in parts of those as well. Which is why I always like, even like Kurt, who's still in a lot of these like later episodes, you get to see like, oh, like how does he bounce off with this person, and how can we utilize him in that form and fashion of being able to like be along with the X-Men, and him being like the cool moral guide and also the swashbuckler because he's got epic swords and all that. But it's like this show is like a perfect example of being able to draw conclusions and also analyze character interactions organically with, you know, one another.
Yeah, and that's what I like is it's not like the powers that they have, right? They're not the driving force of what carries the plot or character development, because like it's the characters' choices, their dialogue, it's those things that carry the story forward. And then the powers that they had, instead of like, obviously they play an important part, but it's not like the reason that that characters act a certain way, right? Except maybe like Rogue, because you know, she has a very tragic power. But so I think that's what makes it really well done too, is it does feel like the people who made this show were like, okay, let's make good characters and let's make a good solid plot, and then after we have those two things, we can think about how their superpowers would affect the characters or affect the plot, affect how they interact with each other, instead of like making it the sole driving force. And that's what I think pinpoints why this is so good for me.
No, absolutely. I mean, it all just nails down to excellent character work, and everything of that sort. And that's one thing I can really appreciate about the show. But yeah, I mean, you got the end of, it feels like the end of the world, and also the end of the X-Men, like at the end, as we sort of like oddly know it, because they're all semi-displaced in different parts. See, my excitement is that I get to see Scott and Jean, like it's an adaptation of, or I believe what's going to be an adaptation of The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix, which was a series where they raised Nathan in an apocalyptic hell wasteland in a very far off in the distant future that Nate was sent to, that we didn't know of. But this is going to be, I think, a great this is going to be a great opportunity for Scott and Jean to be the parents I think that they wanted to be, instead of, you know, in the fashion of where they were. And I actually want to see more of that world being built, because the original series was the original comic series was kind of short. But I would like to see what goes on there, and also like how the team is also going to respond without this. So I'm very excited. Like, see, that's what I'm super excited to see in season 2.
Yeah, it's funny that you say like, I think this is what they're doing, but like that's like, to me that's obviously what they're doing, because I'm like, how the heck else would, even if it's only for like the first 3 episodes or whatever of season 2, like obviously like there's going to be a lot going on there. And you're right, like it is going to be interesting to see how they get back, because, well, Cable obviously has some sort of, from his future, you know, the time he was raised in, there's some sort of time travel mechanism. But like, I think it'd be really easy, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it would make sense for Scott, Jean, and Cable to get back, assuming Cable does want to come back to like 97 or 98 instead of like 3000 whatever. It would make sense for them to come back first, because they have the technology to somehow time travel, because we've seen Cable do it, versus like the other people that got sent back to like ancient Egypt, because that technology is still going to develop, you know, like it would need, I mean, Beast is there and he's very smart, but he's more, I was reading about him, he's more like biology type, not really like a Iron Man technology, you know, building the suit in a cave type person. But granted, he is still very smart. So it might be harder for them to get back to their actual time. So what to me would make sense is, what could happen is like Magneto, Professor X, all the people sent back, they could leave signs that indicate when they are, so that even though like technically they would probably like age out and die in their time, thousands of years later, the X-Men would discover those signs and then be like, oh, we know when they are now, and they could just go back and get them, you know? And because they theoretically would have Cable's time travel device, however he gets it, like, it could work. And so, yeah.
Well, the thing that sort of scares me a bit to see like how they're gonna I guess do that is, in the original series there are also 2 other different players that show up in that future time frame. Apocalypse shows up, and Nathan's evil clone, yes, Nathan Summers has another evil clone.
Is it Sinister?
No, it's Strife.
His name is Strife.
Like, Nathan...
But is Sinister the one who cloned him?
I don't believe so. Not from what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah. He didn't. No, Sinister didn't clone him. But yeah, so Nathan has an evil clone, That's sort of why I want to see them, like, for the entirety of season 2, just stay in that hellhole or wherever they're at, right? Figure out what's going on. Maybe we get some apocalypse and some ruminescence of, like, oh, like, this is a future that you might not want to live in. Be able to, like, build up that world, have some, like, nice moments with the family and all that stuff. I don't know. I think it would be pretty interesting to see what they do with it there.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, it could be a one-off. It also could be the whole seasons. I legitimately have no idea with what they're doing, so that's why I'm very excited to see what they've got planned on going there.
Yeah, I wonder if they do, because, like, Bastion was sort of like a one-season villain. Even though, like, we haven't technically seen him die yet, so I suppose he could come back. But if they do something as big as Apocalypse, I wonder if they stretch that out to, like, 2 seasons or something. Like, there's a lot of build-up in Season 2, and then Season 2 ends with, like, because it starts with Ancient Egypt Apocalypse. Whatever his Egyptian name was, you said it earlier.
En Sabanur.
Yeah, En Sabanur. And then at the end of it, we see, like, that futuristic apocalypse that you're talking about that shows up, which obviously would lead to the big apocalypse timeline, and maybe Gambit returning towards the end of season 2 or something, in the way that you theorized earlier about, like, being one of the 4 horsemen. That seems like it'd have a lot of payoff as far as, like, people being hyped for it and, like, wanting to watch more. So I could see them doing it that way.
For sure. And yeah, I'm very excited to see, like, what they've got going on there as far as all of this is out and concerned. And obviously, we need a brand new X-Men team because at the end of season 1, we don't exactly have a team in full strength or at full capacity to withhold some, because some of these characters are MIA. Some of these characters are presumed dead. We have no idea where they are. So, very excited to see, like, who they have coming up to protect the world in season 2.
Yeah, we didn't see Logan in the past or the future, did we? Like, at the end? I just realized that. I was like, okay, because obviously we saw Scott and Jean. We saw, in the past, who was it? Professor X, Beast, Rogue, and Magneto? Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I didn't realize until we just talked about it now that we didn't actually see where everyone went or when everyone went. So, yeah, we haven't seen Storm or Logan. Huh. Okay. Well, there's more questions to answer.
There's going to be a brand new X-Men team that we will root for in season 2 as well. I actually want to see, like, because I think the next Marvel animated show that's sort of coming up after this entire thing is Spider-Man freshman season, which I'm very excited to see, because it's been a while since we've had a Spidey show. I know that we get them every couple of years or so, because, you know, you want to obviously introduce new people to the fandom, and also Spidey is an incredibly popular character, so people will tune in for that regardless. Yeah, I have no idea what to expect for that one, but I know that it's been in development. If they can get 97 out, which took, I think, 2.5 years. I feel like freshman season is gonna come quickly-ish. Maybe after. I have no idea.
So is he gonna be in college in that?
I believe.
Is that what,
yeah.
Freshman. Oh, okay. Cool. That's yeah. Like, I don't know. I talked about the Spider-Man show earlier, so that's interesting. Is it completely new, or are they trying to go for, like, the nostalgia continuation of the '90s show? Do you know?
It's supposed to be set in the MCU and just follows him in high school.
Oh, it's animated and set in the MCU? Interesting. Follows him in high school it's high school freshman year, not college freshman year. Okay, that makes sense. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'll probably watch that, but yeah, interesting.
Because, yeah, I know that, because in the, I think it's the end of episode 8 where we sort of get to see, like, the cameo of a bunch of, like, different characters who also exist in this universe. and Spider-Man and Daredevil are also in this universe, which was super cool. I love those cameos.
Dude, I think I told you, but I'm rewatching Daredevil, the Netflix version right now. Like I'm still in season 1, but I think I'm halfway through now. But man, dude, it's so good. Like I freaking love that Daredevil show. Like it's so good. But yeah, anyways, I love the cameos. I was actually gonna ask you, like, who's like, there's some characters that look really cool that I don't recognize at all, like the Metal Samurai.
Oh, Silver Samurai, he's connected with Logan. He is all the way in Japan, sort of one of Logan's I wouldn't call him a supporting character because he fights him a lot, but they do they do battle each other a lot in the comics.
Yeah, and then there were some other people that, like, they looked like a team of people. Like there were like 4 of them. I don't remember who they were, but they did show up in that sort of like those cameos that they had too. And I was like, oh man, those characters look really cool. But I don't even remember how to describe them.
I know, like, I believe I remember seeing Doctor Doom in one of the cameos.
Yes, I do remember that. Doctor Strange too. He was doing surgery on someone.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that Doctor Strange would be in the show. But that's pretty cool. Omega Red, who's another. He's the guy with like the.
Yes, it was Omega Red. Yeah, I just googled
classic Russian Wolverine villain. By classic, I mean 90s.
Whoa. Okay. He's a villain. Oh, yeah, like I don't know. That was just interesting, like seeing these characters. I'm not familiar with these characters, so I was like, oh, this is like, they look so cool. Was Omega Red? Omega Red was in Deadpool too. I don't remember.
I don't remember him being in there. Yeah.
Yeah, makes a live action debut through a cameo appearance.
Which means that he could be in Deadpool and Wolverine. Who knows? I have no idea.
It actually would make sense. Interesting. Well, that's cool. Omega Red. That's a cool name though too. Deadpool. I want to see what he looks like in Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I don't remember him much at all in Deadpool 2, if at all. Zemo was in the cameos as well. Not the I guess the Zemo that we have in the like, because the outfits are different than what he wears in Civil War, but he was also in there.
What's Zemo?
Baron Zemo. He's a Captain America villain.
Oh.
Yeah, he fought him in Winter Soldier. They're like at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when they're on the boat.
Yeah, I do remember that. I mean, yeah, like I didn't realize he was like a major character that had like a important name. You know what I mean? But I do remember like the introduction of like Captain America being on the boat, like going through that thing. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there were some cool cameos in there.
Which that is how, like, honestly, I think this is also another weird example of like how you can. Yeah, how you can show the rest of your universe without making it feel forced at all. Because, yeah, obviously, like, if the whole world is ending, wouldn't you want to stop the world from ending? Which is why we get, like, you know, some of these characters trying to figure out, like, what the heck's going on and helping out and all that other stuff.
Yeah, you also get to see what you're talking about, right? Showcasing the world kind of like that through Morph. Like, in one of the episodes, they morph into
the Hulk. Morph into the Hulk. Yeah,
I was like, whoa, okay. Like, I don't know. So I don't know I don't know what the extent of Morph's powers are, but they seem like they would be like super powerful because they can just morph into different people and get their powers. But then I looked into Morph, and apparently they're not really like in the comics. It's a xmen animated show only thing, and I was like, oh, okay, that's why we haven't seen the extent of how powerful Morph is, because, you know, there's not decades of comics on them.
Morph is I don't remember them much at all in like the animated series. So
yeah, I looked it up. Apparently, like, they died really early on, and then they somehow were resurrected like later on in a later season. So maybe that's why.
It's probably exactly why I don't remember anything at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not in my brain. I don't remember that happening. But are there any other thoughts that you wanted to jump off on before we close this very long, painstaking review of X-Men '97?
Painstaking? I wouldn't
It's not
say
painstaking,
that.
no.
No.
I just wanted to say a long word.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything else for me to say. I do, it's very well done. If you've seen this, if you're watching this, watching this video, this podcast, then I hope that you have seen it already. Otherwise, you just had like major parts spoiled for you. And like I said last week, like this is a show that you should experience as much as you can without knowing the major plot points, because it's not like there's a lot of twists and turns, but then you get to really feel the emotional weight of so many of the choices the characters make, and things that happen to them because of those choices. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, don't be like me and get Remy being killed in episode 5 ruin the whole levity of that season.
I hate that, man. That happened to me with Last of Us 2, dude. Like, people just spoiling stuff on you, like and it's not like I was looking up things about like the game, or like you were looking, but like people, they'll put it in the title, like streamers react to so and so's death, and I'm like,
you just did it.
Why, dude? Why?
And they always recommend it to, like Twitter has the whole exact same thing where you're on the For You page, because there's a For You and a following page now for those who are unfamiliar with Elon Musk's brand new and unfortunate updates to the social media scape. But on the For You page, and this happened all throughout the I can't remember if I said this on or off stream, but this was happening during the Superman set leaks that were going out because they started filming Superman. And I saw a lot of characters that were on there, and I'm like, I don't want to see this. I want to wait for the movie to come out, and then I can judge it based on that appearance. Like, if people want to watch trailers and nitpick and see like, oh, that's what's gonna happen, like, that's cool, because that's officially like set up by the studio to market the movie. Right? Like, some of them might be good, some of them might be bad, but please, for the love of everything that is amazing, cool it on the spoilers. I'm still who was it? I think it was LaShawn McCoy, the former Philadelphia Eagles running back, who went on Twitter and said, "R.I.P. my boy Tony Stark," when Endgame came out. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
We watched that opening night, and I was like, I didn't get to see it because I completely avoided spoilers till the Friday I watched it with a friend. But yeah.
Man, yeah. See, that's the problem. Like, I tend to stay off social media, especially Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter like in a long time, and that's one of the reasons. But even on YouTube, like, I'm like, I just don't want that stuff to happen, man. It's just so unfortunate. Is McCoy, was he one of the? Oh yeah, I see that right now. He tweeted a spoiler about the film Endgame shortly after watching the film, and that angered a bunch of people. He called it the worst decision of his life in an interview. That's so funny. Okay, so he's not the one that was like super anti-Semitic. I think that was Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
The other Philadelphia Eagles. Well, he was a wide receiver, but anyways,
that's besides the point, guys. If you guys haven't watched it, like we've been egging you to for the last 3 weeks, please go ahead and watch it. Like, you are missing out on some amazing characters, some amazing storytelling, some amazing animation, and overall just a good time. Like, because that's what we should all be, like, it's all entertainment, I understand that, but like, these should be giving you a good time, if not an enjoyable time. So we hope that you do enjoy. We hope you have enjoyed the last 3 weeks of all of this as well. But if you haven't yet, be sure to like the video, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when I put any one of these videos up. And thank you, Drew, for joining me once again today to talk about it.
Thanks for having me, man. Love talking about it. It also finally got me to watch it, so can't thank you enough. Amazing time, and I can't wait for the next episode.
I can't wait either. And until then, you be you. Take care and have a great rest of the day wherever you are.